So if you're one of my 175 original subscribers and you're seeing this video pop up, you're probably wondering, where the heck have you been, Mr. Star Wars Dude 0515? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I do admit it has been quite some time since I have been a presence here on YouTube. But I have still been collecting figures. My collection has grown. I am still very much a part of the culture. Sorry I haven't been around, really haven't been growing my channel. Kind of life's been in the way, but none of that really matters. What matters is my profile picture for the longest time has been of ARC Trooper Echo. He was my very most favorite clone throughout the entire series. So you can imagine my surprise and how happy I was when Hasbro decided to launch this special beauty, this Star Wars special action figure set with the 501st Legion ARC Troopers, and that would be Echo, Fives, and Jesse. Absolutely one hell of a job done by them, and it's kind of funny considering how focused they've been on 6-inch figures, and I think only one Kenobi tagged a phrase. It was Keep Alive 375 or something like that, with you know, for us 3.75 figure collectors, and making sure that after all these years, you know, Hasbro is still taking care of us, still releasing some of the best content. I'm also sure you guys have seen the Hasbro Razor Crest that they're doing for the Mandalorian. That's also in 3.75. I have gotten on board of that. I am one of the current, I think we're just under 15,000 backers. That's going to be one hell of a cool you know, vehicle once it reaches our doorsteps come this time next year. So definitely I don't know, you know, if I'm going to keep reviewing figures. This is just kind of I was feeling nostalgic because of ARC Trooper Echo here. So once I saw this pack, I immediately grabbed my credit card and just bought it, just immediately. I didn't even care so much about the price. It was just something that I had to have. So we'll flip it around here. And even this foil on the back, I know the light is quite a bit of a shimmer. There we go. Get a little bit of a good look at it there. I mean, the back of the packaging is just so awesome. And these figures are done in the kind of the original movie style as opposed to the animated series. But my goodness, are they still awesome. So let's go ahead. I'm going to open these bad boys up and we're gonna get into the review. So first glance out of the bubble, you can just see that these guys are completely armed to the teeth with the rifle, the carbine blaster, and the pistols. I mean, just absolutely armed, and just, oh my goodness, they are just so good looking. They're just the amount of texture and the detail. I mean, look at the buttons there on the gauntlet that you see. My goodness. Jesse. Good old Jesse. I felt bad for the way that it ended for Jesse. Maybe I'm wrong in this, but I still don't. Are we sure what happened, or do we know what happens to Fives and Echo? Do we know what happens to them just yet? Hate to see the way that it ended for Jesse, but you had to guess that something like that was coming. So it wasn't all that difficult to remove from the packaging. That's sometimes a nice thing about the vintage collection. Simply just removed from the edge here. Try to be as careful as possible, not rip it open like a dog, despite my excitement. So next, let's get these guys out of the bubble. So hello everybody, the second part of the review here. I know I promised this review on Tuesday, a little bit late, had some things come up, but I am getting around to the rest of the review now. So now we're going to take an individual look at each of these three figures, kind of tell you what I like, some things that I don't like, which I know is hard to believe because these figures do look absolutely incredible, but there are some things that are left to be desired. I know the saying goes, never meet your heroes, because of things that you end up seeing about them that you don't like or never really anticipated. So I'll be giving a completely unbiased review of these three, and then I actually will compare them to some other 501st clone troopers that we have here in the marketplace. So starting off with Echo, of course, he is the namesake, or really the mascot of the channel, so I figured it best to start with him. Of course, the amount of articulation and detail on these figures is insane. They are ball jointed basically everywhere. The articulation is awesome. Of course, with the pauldron, the shoulder ball jointing, and of course with the holsters, the hip ball joints aren't really the most functional, but they are there nonetheless. And I mean, just the complete level of design, even the buttons on the gauntlet there. I mean, just insane. So, of course, the articulation is great. The level of detail is great. But what are some things that have been left to be desired? Well, taking the helmet off, one thing that you're going to notice right away is that the pauldron is very loose. Now, it's not too crazy loose, but it is loose nonetheless. The thing that irks me the most about these figures, my biggest complaint, is the blaster pistols. These blaster pistols have a terrible time staying in those holsters. I actually lost one for a moment, and I was lucky enough to find it. But if you have these guys unopened, you are going to want to keep an eye on those 24/7. Now, when we're looking at Echo, of course, Echo didn't really have anything going on crazy. He was kind of by the book. Standard haircut, of course. And another thing about these ARC Troopers that is different from other ARC Troopers that we've seen in the Clone Wars line is the fact that the backpack here is connected to the pauldron, whereas in other troopers we've seen where it's just been pegged into the back. But in this case, it is loose. But even the great amount of detail that they took here, as you can see the wrinkles in the bodysuit. I mean, they just did an incredible job, Hasbro, with this. Taking another look at that helmet, of course, as you can see, articulating rangefinder. Absolutely great looking figure. Well done, Hasbro, well done. I give it a 360. Let's place him back there. I know I need stands. Looking at getting some. Now taking a look at Jesse, arguably the most detailed of the three. Of course, as you notice, they all have a different design on their armor. And here is Jesse's. Of course, Jesse's helmet is a little bit wrong. I believe the last time when we see Jesse in the Clone Wars, he is missing the rangefinder, as well as I believe he has no fin. I believe he's just kind of got the Phase 2 helmet minus the fin and the rangefinder. It actually gives that an even more unique look. But hey, beggars can't be choosers. I'm just happy to see that these figures were made in a Phase 2 variation. Of course, another great level of detail on him as opposed to Echo. Different from Echo, I mean. So, of course, he has the design on his helmet, which is then tattooed on his face. And one thing that I wish we would see, or that Hasbro would give us, is a Phase 2 Rex with a head sculpt. We can see that this Jesse Rex, they're almost similar in their head sculpts. We should see a Rex. Unfortunately, we haven't gotten a Rex. We've already seen that the next Phase 2 carded is just a recarded Black Series, which I actually will demonstrate here in a moment to kind of give you a comparison of these. Let's see if I can get Jesse to stand up. He is not going to. Oh, okay, he will. For a moment. We'll see if he falls over. And next is Fives. And I actually have to say, Fives is probably my favorite of the three. So I saved best for last. Of course, I think he has the most detail. I mean, just look at that on his armor, where the holsters are, on his pauldron, and on his gauntlet there. I mean, just the level of detail. Plus, here's another thing. Look at the tail that comes down the back of his head. Very cool. I mean, Fives, they just did one hell of a job with him. Let's take the helmet off, shall we? Whoops. Yeah, helmet's a little bit tight on this. I think it might be because of the beard, but I could be wrong. So let's take a look at the helmet. Let me get a good firm grasp of it, as you can see. Very nice. And then, of course, as we can see, Fives, he has the beard as well as the 5 tattoo on his head. And Fives rather is just an incredible looking figure. Very well done. So really the only two complaints that I had with these figures is the fact that the pauldron is extremely loose when you take the helmet off, and that the blaster pistols are also extremely loose. But otherwise, these guys are very well articulated. They come with so many weapons. They each come with 2 pistols, I guess would be like the carbine blaster, and then of course the full-length rifle. So now we have an idea of what those guys look like. Let's kind of compare it to other 501st clone troopers that we see. So starting off with Rex, as you can see, this is kind of the Phase 2 Rex that we got in the Black Series, and that we are also going to get recarded. And as you can see, Hasbro really kind of went under their mark on this one. There are a lot of things left to be desired. Now, of course, the articulation is very good, but the head itself, the head sculpt, is so terribly small. Let's bring in Jesse for a comparison next to themselves. And I mean, you can just see. Now, of course, Jesse has, he's got a head sculpt underneath, and Rex did not, which again is another thing that's left to be desired with this figure. And another thing, speaking of pistols, Hasbro never seems to get this right, but they're massive. I mean, they're absolutely massive. And the mitts on Captain Rex are also massive. Look at that. Look at the hand compared to the forearm there. As you can see, it's also massive. Look how big that hand is. And as big as it is, it has a hard time getting this pistol to fit into it. Now, of course, the attention to detail, the level of design in this figure is very good, but the head sculpt is way off. The mitts are just insanely too big, and the pistols are also messed up. But that's kind of an idea of what they look like side by side, so we'll put him there. Let's take a look at, I believe this is also a vintage collection clone trooper here. As you can see, the helmet sculpt is very similar to what we have with Jesse, Fives, and Echo, but the head sculpt itself is much different. Jesse, Echo, Fives, they have a little bit of a bulkier head. That's what she said. But this clone trooper with the vintage collection, a much slimmer look, as we've seen with some other vintage collection clone troopers. Of course, the level of detail on these guys is insane. Some fading, some damage to the armor. Everything about these figures is great. And when you pair them with the ARC Trooper, just absolutely a pretty good combo. And last but not least, I might actually really quick dig out the 501st Clone Trooper that was on the Yoda card. Here's another one. I don't remember which line this figure came out of, but I know he's an older one. As you can see, kind of a bulkier head sculpt like the ones that we see with Jesse, Echo, and Fives, but not really the same realistic look to it. Level of detail on these figures is great, and the head sculpt and the helmet are perfect together. This figure is very nice looking. Let me see if I can put him there for a moment. And real quick, let me dig out that. Give me 1 second. Alright, so I wanted to go ahead and get out I believe this is the clone trooper, or meant to be like the clone trooper that we see as part of the 501st on Umbara. Of course, it comes complete with a jetpack. I don't actually have that one at the moment. These figures are extremely hard to find. I don't believe they were released at all ever in the United States. I do have 2 of these. One I bought but from France, and then the other from Canada. We here in the US didn't get these guys, I don't think. Again, I could be wrong, but I've not been able to find these guys. They are very difficult, and when you do find them, they want a bunch of money for them. But stand him kind of in the back there, if you will. Does he stand? Let's leave him on the packaging. There we go. So that's kind of how they all compare to each other. Of course, I have to agree that what we're getting in the action figure set here with the three of them is just a great line of figures, and they really can pull off a collection. As you see here, I mean, this is the 501st, the full embodiment of it. You've got Rex, Jesse, Echo 5s, and a couple Phase 2 501st Clone Troopers with them. It's just a really cool aesthetic that they bring. If you do find one of these packs, I recommend that you do pick one up. They will be 100% worth it, but keep an eye on those pistols. Those guys are a little tricky, and they do want to run away. Well, I hope that you all enjoyed this video. I'm going to try and activate the comments again. I don't know why they were turned off, but of course, please leave a comment. What would you like to see me review? I am 100% open. I have the checkbook ready to go. If there's something that you want me to review, I will 100% review it. And if you haven't been to Hasbro Pulse lately, The Mandalorian, which has now returned back to Disney Plus. There's the Razor Crest exclusive that they're doing on Pulse right now that has, they're looking for backers. And I believe we have enough backers right now. I could be wrong. I've already purchased, so I haven't really been keeping up all too much to date on that. But that is something that I will be reviewing and putting on this channel a year from now when it comes back in. But if you haven't already, I would suggest picking that up. Alrighty, guys. So again, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, it's happy to be back on YouTube. Thanks again. May the force be with you.